He has 12 tabs open, calls it planning, but nothing on the screen has moved in almost an hour. One tab is about grad school, another is about freelancing, another is about moving somewhere new, another is just a video about not wasting your 20s. His Notes app is full of names for lives he has not lived yet, voice memos he never listened back to, a folder called Ideas with entries going back 2 years. None of it is laziness. He has more ambition than most people he knows. The problem is that every dream arrives with the same weight, and the moment he leans toward one, the others begin to feel like losses. This is what it looks like when wanting becomes its own kind of trap. From the outside, it can look lazy, distracted, uncommitted. But a lot of Gen Z is not doing nothing because they want too little. They are doing nothing because they want too much, all at once. And each possible life feels too heavy to choose. He says he wants to start something, not one thing, everything. Get in shape, build a channel, learn a skill, make money online, read more, leave the city, stay and make it work, become disciplined, become someone he will not regret becoming. So he makes systems for it, new folders, new routines, new plans for finally focusing. And for a day or two, it even feels good, like movement. But a strange thing happens here. Thinking begins to feel like progress. Researching feels productive. Organizing feels like beginning. And that is where the trap gets deeper. Because you can spend an entire day circling your future and still leave with the faint emotional relief of someone who already moved. Then the old feeling comes back. Not boredom, not even laziness. Just that quiet pressure of knowing that if he starts one path seriously, the others do not stay dreams anymore. They become losses. That is the part people do not see. This pattern shows up everywhere in Gen Z life, not just in careers, in creative work, in fitness, in side projects, in self-improvement, even in personality. The pressure is no longer just to choose a job. It is to choose a whole identity. And when identity feels like something you have to build perfectly, every decision starts to feel bigger than it is. A hobby is not just a hobby. It might be your future. A course is not just a course. It might decide your life. So the mind keeps circling, researching, comparing, imagining, restarting. And that is why this generation can look strangely busy and strangely stuck at the same time. The paralysis is not empty. It is crowded. Millennials are not the opposite of this. They know overwhelm too. But many millennials were pushed earlier into a different emotional rhythm. Pick something. Stick with it. Be practical first. Meaning can come later. That did not make life easier. It created its own kind of guilt, its own kind of quiet exhaustion. But for Gen Z, the emotional burden often starts earlier and spreads wider. They were raised in a world where reinvention looked normal, personal branding looked necessary, and every choice came with a visible audience. Not just choose a path, choose the right path. Not just build a life, build one that looks aligned, original, financially smart, mentally healthy, and somehow still impressive. This is where people usually say Gen Z has too many options, and that is true. But it is not the whole truth. Too many options only become paralyzing when each option feels loaded with identity, status, and the fear of wasting your potential. Because once a generation grows up hearing that they can be anything, it does not always land as freedom. Sometimes it lands as pressure. If you can be anything, then choosing one ordinary road can start to feel like betraying some larger, better version of yourself. That is why so many people do not just fear failure. They fear what failure would do to the image of who they thought they might become. As long as the dream stays untested, it can stay perfect. And now the decision is no longer about what to do next. It becomes a referendum on who you are allowed to become. That is why even small choices can start to feel strangely catastrophic. Psychology has a simple name for part of this: choice overload. When options multiply beyond what the mind can comfortably hold, decision-making does not become liberating. It becomes exhausting. And once a choice starts carrying emotional consequences, the brain stops treating it like a neutral decision. It starts to feel like a threat. Not a physical threat, a self-threat. What if I choose wrong? What if I waste years? What if I commit and find out I am ordinary? What if the life I did not choose was the real one? That is when overwhelm turns into avoidance. Not because the person does not care, but because the mind starts protecting itself from the emotional cost of choosing. Overthinking makes it worse. The brain can burn a surprising amount of energy simulating outcomes, replaying possibilities, rehearsing futures. So by the time action is actually possible, the person already feels tired. And then they wait for the right moment, for the clearer sign. But readiness usually comes after action, not before it. And when the perfect moment never arrives, the mind quietly attaches itself to potential instead of effort. Potential is exciting. Potential is clean. Effort is repetitive, boring, and humiliating at the beginning. So some people stay loyal to the fantasy of who they could be, because it feels safer than becoming a beginner in public. And social media makes this worse in a very specific way. It does not just show Gen Z success. It shows Gen Z possibilities in public, all day, every day. One person is building a startup at 22. One is moving abroad. One is getting fit. One is becoming an artist. One is monetizing a hobby that used to be private. So older generations look at Gen Z and say, they cannot commit. They start everything and finish nothing. They want too much, too fast. They are lazy. But laziness is usually a low desire state. This is often the opposite. This is high desire with nowhere safe to land. What looks like flakiness is often overload. What looks like delay is sometimes grief before the choice has even been made. The cost of this is not just lost productivity. It is a quieter loss than that. You begin to distrust your own momentum. You stop believing your own excitement. You collect beginnings that never had the chance to become part of your life. And after a while, even dreaming starts to hurt. Because every dream comes with the memory of all the others you almost started. That is a lonely way to be young. So no, this is not a generation that wants too little. It may be a generation that was asked to turn possibility into identity, too early, too publicly, and with too much pressure to make it beautiful. And when that pressure sits on top of real ambition, what comes out does not always look like drive. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like someone sitting in front of a life they deeply want, unable to touch it. Not because they are empty, because they are overwhelmed. And maybe that is the first thing people get wrong about Gen Z, not that they dream too much, that they are carrying the weight of those dreams before they have learned how to carry themselves.